All members are present. This meeting is being recorded by the Town of West Boylston staff. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, folks. Expect that I will go out of order on the agenda because I like to keep it a little spicy. So the first item, Ken's already sitting up here and he's going to give us a presentation and it's ready. So Ken, from NFP Health Insurance Renewal Update, I'm going to kick it off and let you take the floor.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Ken Lombardi, NFP, Insurance Advisor to the Town of West Boylston. So yes, what we wanted to speak to you about is the result of our renewal process for fiscal year 26. So this is the healthcare plan that we used on July 1st, the active employee plan. We actually kind of organized this year's renewal at the end of last year. I'm sure the team doesn't remember, but we actually committed for July 1 of 2025 that this renewal would be already guaranteed by Maya Blue Cross Blue Shield, the health insurance program you have the health insurance plan with, to not exceed Maya's average rate increase for fiscal year 26. So one more time, so Maya is a healthcare trust that the town's health benefits are provided through Blue Cross Blue Shield, 3 healthcare plans covering several hundred employees. The way the plan works is that there's deductible, deductibles, cost sharing features, co-pays, things of that nature. Last July 1st, by commitment of the town to guarantee renewing with Maya for July 1 of 2025, Maya provided us with a cap last year at 6.6%, which was the lowered actually from a 12.6% increase. So we cut the rate increase in half last year.
Yep.
By committing that we would renew this year. Healthcare this year has not gone well for anyone. I actually included the second page of the information, a series of what we're seeing for rate increases generally everywhere. This year the average is 14.8%. We are seeing adjustments pretty close to that just about everywhere. A lot of the communities we work with that are around here actually have rate increases higher than that, 19.9% for instance. The largest plan in the state with the Insurance Commission, average rate increase is 12.7. So based on our losses, 14.8% was not disproportionate. Yeah, we did advise the Insurance Advisory Committee last year, and we also talked to the committee this year with town management that we were going to talk to the employees and try to come up with a cost reduction program nonetheless, even though we had a guaranteed renewal this year. So we did come up with a game plan, was vetted previously with some discussions with some members here. What we have done is we've leveraged up the deductible. We've gone from an adjustment of 14.8% down to 11.75%. So that was the good news. In order to get the Insurance Advisory Committee to make the recommendation to lower the rate of increase, we did have to increase the deductible. So the plan deductibles did increase, and they are shown here, sort of on this outline. The best way for me to explain it is the majority of the members are in the HMO Blue plan. That's the first category. Current deductible is $1,500 if you have individual coverage, $3,000 if you have family. But the town does have an integrated health reimbursement arrangement. Or in other words, the town does pick up $1,000 of the deductible for individuals and $2,000 for family. What we did is by increasing the deductible, as you can see, to the new level at $2,000 and $4,000, what we've done is we've lowered the rate of increase. We did increase the share that the member will pay on July 1st from their current $500 to $625, for instance, for individual and $1,250 for family. So the town is still picking up our percentage of the deductible at a different clip than it does today. We've got data that shows us what we've actually spent for HRA claim dollars over the last several years. So this particular increase doesn't necessarily expose the town for any more significant HRA claim dollars. So this is a, for lack of a better way of saying it, this is a good bet for the town to provide this guarantee of the reimbursement of the deductible and by lowering the rate of increase from the 14.8 down to the 11.75%. So that's pretty much the whole process of what we've gone through this year. We did meet with the employees to explain how this would work. The West Boylston Employee Education Association did ask me to attend a meeting and review this, and they were fine. And then ultimately, when we reconvened with the IAC after offering up information meetings, they ultimately did agree to the recommendation. So they have endorsed moving the deductible with the expansion of the HRA and lowering the increase down to 11.75%. So that's where we are today. Questions, Mark?
Can you tell me what, to translate the HRA notation, 1,000 and 500?
Sure.
That's 1,000 total, but 500 contributed?
So the town pays 1,000, the
Okay.
member pays the 500, together they equal the current deductible of 1,500.
Oh, okay.
And so on July 1, the town will pay 1375, and the member pays 625. So there is an increase on both sides of the equation, but there's a corresponding reduction in premium as well.
Okay. And the increase is 375
Correct.
for the town?
I would strongly suggest that any chance we get, given the inflationary trends in healthcare, to lower the rate of increase for as whenever possible, even if it's somewhat minuscule, if you will, although it's significant. I would suggest the town and members take advantage of that.
I want to ask one question just about, when you say take advantage of that, how would the town take advantage of that?
So the guaranteed increase would have cost the town about $526,000.
Yep.
So the reduction still costs the town about $426,000, so it's still an increase, but we have reduced the rate of increase and saved some money from the process. Keeping in mind, we had a limitation as to really what our options were this year, and we took advantage of the savings literally last year where we cut the rate increase in half. So that was pretty much as best as we could do this year.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? So, say, I know we've gotten a lot of information. What you're looking for the board to do is to make a motion to accept what you're presenting
Right.
here today so that you can move forward.
Correct.
And that motion would be to accept the renewal at the
11.75%.
11.75%.
Do we have to accept the increase in the deductible contribution too?
Okay, so we have a motion both? Go ahead.
I mean, you could probably put as presented from Ken.
Okay,
Yep, make it easy.
do I have a motion?
So
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, thank you so much.
It's okay.
Real quick, I didn't do public comment just because I knew there was something up. So once that comes down and our Zoom meeting thing is up,
Does somebody want to copy this in there?
no, I was, all right, this is up. Okay, so at this point, I'm gonna move, you need a copy out there?
No, you're saying there's no public comment. Does the
no,
public
I-
want to copy this? I'll give mine
Oh,
up.
no, I wanna
Really?
move, we didn't do public
Oh,
comment.
oh,
I
okay.
skipped it,
Oh,
'cause
oh,
Ed was
okay.
sitting up front. So I'm gonna open up a public comment now. If there's any member of the public, this period, this is a 15-minute period, an opportunity for public comment. During this time, we can't answer questions. We won't address concerns during this time regarding town operations or programs. If the board deems necessary, we would put this on a future agenda, but that would be up to the board's discretion. At this time, I would open it up to say anyone in the room like to come up for public comment. This is the only opportunity. You can talk about. No? Anyone online have public comment? David, one second. Could we turn up David, because I can barely hear him. Could you try one more time, David? Sorry.
No, it still needs to be on.
I don't think it's in here.
Well, 1 second, sorry. I don't think it's out here for the person, I think, here you go. Sorry, technical difficulties.
Can you hear me now?
Now I can hear you, David, loud and clear. You're actually really loud. Go ahead. I got your address and stuff, but you can repeat it if you like.
Sure. David Ashwell, 139 Woodland Street. This is just another follow-up comment from our prior two meetings to this, hoping for a public discussion on the handling of the prior town administrator. It's been brought up a couple meetings, and wanted to just continue to echo that there are some concerned members of the community that would like to have a broader conversation on that topic. That is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Anyone else online? Hearing none? 1, 2. All right, 3. Okay, I'm closing public comment. Next item on the agenda is to review and vote to approve warrants for the period covering March 20th, 2025 through April 2nd, 2025.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Am I really loud to you guys? Am I like echoing? Is it, sorry, I'm trying, be quiet. Great. Meeting minutes for December 13th, 2024, regular meeting minutes. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. I'm gonna skip to,
You should vote on it
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So you're so excited to mess up the agenda again. Faye, you want to go with the update on the animal control officer? You want her to come for the next one? Right? Yes? No? Whoever gets to the chair first wins.
If you need to go, that's fine, whatever's easier. Go ahead, all right, I'll go. Going.
All right, so folks, many of you, if the public, we have folks on here from the public, we, in the past, didn't really, we had an animal control officer for many years, a part-time, it was like a stipend, it was a stipend employee, and then we had someone, but we were hearing a lot of, say, noise, or there were questions. We entered into agreements with, another, was it 2 other towns or one? One other town, Rutland.
Well, Rutland's the host
I
for
cut-
a lot of
Rutland's
the
communities.
Host, okay, so the host community, and we now have an animal control officer, so I thought I'd come and talk to us and tell us what you're doing or what you're seeing.
Okay, my name is Jennifer Ford. I'm the Rutland Regional Animal Control Officer. I cover 7 towns, West Boylston being one of. First of all, I'm gonna apologize, I'm a little grubby. It's just been a day. Didn't get home to change in between. So I just pulled the annual report from dispatch. So this is the calls that just came in through the Wachusett Community Dispatch that you guys, or Regional Dispatch that you guys also are a part of. And I pulled them from July, start of the fiscal year, just to December, because we do year-end reports. So I didn't go further up into this date, but just looking at that year-end.
I'm gonna stop, so this is a report that you get from dispatch of people
This
calling
is-
in around animal
This is
related
yeah,
things in town.
yes, this
Okay.
is, and they give it to me as a breakdown. They send me all of my calls for whatever time frame I request. So this was from July 1st, and I didn't really officially start, I think, until August, but I was covering kind of
Yeah.
a little halfway from July 1st. So starting from July 1st to December 31st, we had 81 calls that came into dispatch. All right, so I kind of was weeding through them today just to look at what, and I came up with that we probably responded to 70 of those calls, because some of them were like a deceased deer that was that was forwarded to DPW, or things that maybe an officer had taken care of before we had gotten there. But so my breakdown was that there were 70 total calls that we handled, 81 total that came in between July 1st and December 31st. Of those, 43 were domestic animals, cats and dogs, et cetera. 5 were livestock, chickens are noisy, someone's sheep was out, and 22 were wildlife. But that is a busy time of year for the wildlife calls, so they slow down a lot in the winter, and then we'll pick up again in the spring. Of those calls, they're everything from, the barking dog, the loose dog, the stray dog, those typical, very basic calls. In addition to that, and I don't have the exact numbers of that, we also handle any strict confinements that have come in or any quarantines that have come in regarding the domestic animals. Those don't always come through dispatch, as they can come from a veterinarian clinic or an ER or any of set that the way those get reported to me. In addition to that, we also did 35 barn inspection visits. Of the 35 barn inspections that we went to, only 14 still remained with animals, and the remainder have,
These are all in West Boylston?
You have to go through the chat.
These are all in West Boylston?
These are all, that's why that was my next question. This is all West Boylston?
yes, this is just West Boylston, yes.
Okay, you're not allowed to go with her.
So yes, this is just your town.
Okay.
Okay, so we had 35 barn inspections from previous years. Of those 35, though, you're right, because of those 35, only 14 still remained with livestock animals for the barn inspections. So 21 are now without and are just residential properties.
Oh, good.
So those are my numbers. This does not include, like I said, again, the kennel inspections that we do annually, which I don't think you guys actually have many kennel, I don't know of any at this
No clue what you're
point.
saying, but I'm trying to follow along. So I didn't know we had
We do.
35 barns,
Okay,
but
so
this
kennel-
seems more.
So kennel inspections are for any household that owns more than 4 dogs
Okay,
is required by the state to have a kennel inspection. The town can be stricter, meaning you can say anything after 3 dogs, we require a kennel inspection or a kennel license. You guys have not, to the best of my knowledge, so I think you're still at the 4. The town cannot be more lenient than the state. So the state mandate is that anything over 4 requires a kennel inspection and a kennel license to maintain. So as of right now, I'm not aware of any here, but that just may mean that your citizens don't come forward and let me know, or the town clerk doesn't.
well, they now know.
They now
So
know.
Now you're gonna wind up
Yes.
getting a call, 'cause some neighbor out there has 5 dogs and
So,
someone's gonna
yeah,
call.
so they are done annually and the barn inspections are done annually.
Okay,
This also does not include, I was going somewhere with this. Oh, any follow-up calls. Like, we had a situation, it wasn't even a situation, but we had a complaint about some livestock on one of the, in one area, and that included 2 or 3 follow-up visits with the MSPCA. So those don't come through because they don't come through dispatch, so that doesn't include those. Or we had a kitten that ended up having, God, I think it was a leg amputation that came from here that we ended up placing. That doesn't include the vet visits and all of those things. So it's somewhat conclusive, but it doesn't include everything that we do. But that's your basic numbers.
that's a lot of calls. It was more than I was, go ahead.
Do you have any idea how many calls there were last year or before you took over? Does anybody have any idea?
I never ran those, no, I don't.
Okay. All right,
Yeah, I mean, I cover 7 towns, so I run my numbers annually.
yeah.
So this is just what I did from,
It just seems to go from nothing to this. I don't think it went from nothing to this. I don't know what it was like before.
Well,
Jen, could we ask dispatch to run a report for the year before?
I have it, I can bring it, I mean,
Yeah.
I have it, oh, the year before.
The year
I'm sorry, I
before?
have what I have from July to
I
December.
know that you didn't handle them, but maybe just a printout of what the,
but I don't think it
Like a
went through
comparison.
dispatch, didn't it? There was a number on our website for our person. It
And
didn't
they
actually go
do
through
come through a
dispatch.
variety of ways. I mean,
Yeah.
I get a lot of my calls through Facebook. I mean,
I know,
it's as ridiculous as it is.
Huskies, 3 times.
The
I know.
Huskies,
I-
they live in Holden.
I wanna keep
For the
them.
love of God, go to Holden.
I love them.
But I mean, I picked up a dog yesterday, or 2 days, yesterday? It's a blur. But it was around that Pinecroft area. That dog could be a Holden dog, a Worcester dog, or a West Boylston dog. No one's claimed it since. I don't know. So, but we do have, a number of calls that come through different varieties. I mean, Facebook is constantly tagging me and things and messaging me and things. And unfortunately, I think my phone number is now written on every bathroom wall from here to, I don't even know where.
I
because
saw that.
I get texts and calls on my personal cell phone repeatedly. So this is, I guess, what I can break down for you as far as concrete stuff that I get through dispatch. But there's other things that come through different venues.
I can't stop you.
At a hearing we had talked about the fact that people don't, like you were asking, well, how many times has this been a problem? Or how many times you called, and they said twice or something like that.
Yes.
And you would prefer, or you suggested that complaints come in more often, so at least you can look at it and be like, this is a real problem. They've called 10 times this week.
Well, it establishes a chain of events for me.
Yes.
I mean, if you're texting my personal cell phone or if you're sending me a Facebook message, I mean, I'm happy to answer you, but I try to always direct people, please call the non-emergency dispatch number, because that's how my calls legitly get recorded. And that's how, if this is gonna proceed to anything else,
Right.
I can go back and see the chain of events.
I mean,
If-
that's data in a hearing, which was really kind of, would be useful. You can
Yeah,
figure
oh,
out
without a
what
doubt. I mean, if you're sending me a Facebook message, again, I cover 7 towns. I may or may not remember that. I may or may not lose it. It just disappears sometimes. I try to keep track, but it does go away from me. I'm not gonna lie, it gets away from me when it comes through a personal venue or something like that, it does. So anybody that has a significant problem, and I will say to them, please call dispatch, because that's the only way it's gonna get recorded appropriately and properly, and the only way I'm gonna have a chain of events moving forward if this progresses, if it
And-
becomes a problem.
Do you have a, like if, at that hearing, you said, did you call in? They said, well, no, we didn't call in because that wasn't enough to call in. Like to get a dispatch officer or a dispatch to send an officer. I mean, would you like
Oh, anything's enough.
anything?
I mean,
Well, but what if they don't need an officer? They're like, the dog's barking again.
Oh, they don't need an
and that's
officer,
all
they
it
can
is.
just call and say, I'd like to have animal control call me back regarding this complaint. And that's gonna, and they can give their name and the address of the problem. Am I yelling?
Just,
Am I yelling?
No, I thought, that's why I was whispering, it's like echoing back there.
Mike,
I'm blaming the
there's
guy in the back.
speakers
Like,
I feel like I'm yelling, it's
yeah,
the.
me too, a little
wait,
bit.
am I yelling?
No, I think you're okay. So if they call into dispatch,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be for an officer response.
Yes.
It can be strictly, can you please, my neighbor's dog is barking, they're barking 24/7, or they're barking during the day during these hours, I'd like to speak to animal control. And dispatch will then get in touch with me, I'll call them during business hours, which for me is always, and it will move forward from there. But that gets the call recorded, that this is the complainant, this is the address that they're having a problem with, and they've called and they've requested to speak to the ACO. It doesn't require a police officer response.
Well, right, I think it might be intimidating to a person to say, call the dispatcher.
no,
But I just wanted it to go out over
No,
the
absolutely, to
meeting,
the
that it's
public,
not,
call.
yeah, it's not
It's
a,
a non-emergency, just the non-emergency number, public, the
Yeah.
non-emergency. Don't call 911 because your neighbor's dog occasionally goes to the bathroom in your yard. But please call the non-emergency number, it will get recorded properly, they will get the appropriate information to me.
Right.
I do have a part-time person that works on the weekends right now. They'll get it to one of us and we will follow up. And usually it's, we'll follow up with a phone call to the complainant first typically, unless it's very cut and dried, then we'll just go speak to the animal owner. But for the most part, just because they call dispatch doesn't mean it requires an officer response.
yeah, and I just want that to somehow.
No,
get out.
absolutely. And again, that's just the best course of action, so I get those calls and, they're recorded properly.
Thank you, thank you.
Have you received any calls on aggressive dogs or dog bites? We had a couple of incidents before you.
I mean, I've had dog bites. I mean, I've quarantined several dogs probably in the town.
Is it, do
but-
you know if it is the same?
Not that I'm aware of at the moment. I don't seem to have any repeat offenders here that I'm aware of.
Oh, you mean from before she got here? She
But
might
again,
not
I might
know.
not know that,
Maybe
but I don't seem to
I'll-
have anything
I will,
prior.
I will let you know where it was.
I don't seem to have anything that's a repeat
don't know.
offender, that I haven't had a person call
So
me and
the
say,
reason is, there was a dog bite or aggressive dog. So they came to the town and before the dog hearing, they took the dog out.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know whether the dog is back again. I know the place, but.
I mean, you can certainly send me that information and I'd be happy to check, but from what I'm aware of, and I can only go from what I'm aware of, I mean,
agree.
so from what I'm aware of, I haven't received any of those calls saying, this has been a problem for 2 years, we've addressed it with previous animal controls and nothing's happened. I haven't had that. I have had calls, I mean, I had one yesterday that a dog got out, it was a minor injury, but bit another dog. And the landlord called today and said, this has been an ongoing problem, but nothing has ever been reported. And he said nothing has ever been reported, it's just been, I've had different complaints, but nothing has been reported. So until things are actually reported and logged, I kind of start from square one when you start to log them. I can't go by hearsay for things that happened 6 months ago that nobody called in, or, so I start from when we have a legit complainant and we start with that police log.
That's why it's in my mark.
Okay. I won't Facebook message you when the Huskies come back. I'm just gonna.
You
keep
can, you
I'm
can.
keeping them, 'cause I know it's
Everybody,
directed.
no, I mean, everybody
I
can.
tried to. Jim wouldn't told me I couldn't have them, but they are adorable.
Adorable.
And they're like really big ones.
Everybody can, I mean, I'm not opposed to the Facebook messages, and Facebook and I have a love-hate thing. It is how I solve a lot of things. It's how I get a
When you
lot
need
of
to
the
know where
dogs-
they are, you know where they are. That's how you're gonna solve that case. When those are missing and someone's looking for them.
Go to your house. So
I have 'em.
it's a quick solution, truthfully. You message me, I know where they belong now, you call an owner. I tell Holden that you need to address this with this owner again because they live there. And we resolve the problem quickly that way, so I'm not opposed for the Facebook messages. The only time I ask that you progress further than that is when this is an ongoing problem and I'm gonna need this documented. So if we end up with a nuisance dog hearing or something, I have things that are, officially in place. But if you wanna message me about huskies, it's fine.
No,
Or if
I'm
you
not.
don't-
I'm telling you
oh,
right
you're
now,
gonna
I'm
just
keeping
keep
them
the
next time.
huskies. Okay, all right,
It's
so.
just keeping them.
So when Holden says, do you know anybody that found these huskies, I will just say no.
No, I'm keeping the huskies. Don't worry about it.
Okay. It's problem solved for me and Holden.
It's gonna go great. They're two, they're beautiful. They actually
beautiful.
match everything in my house. It was like perfect.
Are you sure? Because you're wearing black and there's a lot of shedding. that
I'll
goes
get
on.
all rid of all the black stuff.
So
It's
you will
fine.
make someone to walk?
That's fine. Yeah, I'll make someone walk. My husband was really excited when he walked in and there were two huskies in the house and I was like, I'm
I'm sure.
keeping at least one this time.
Okay.
All right, well, is there any other questions?
Walked in here.
No, the husband.
Right.
Wait, oh, that's a husband, okay.
I'm keeping,
I just don't want anyone responsible.
no,
He's the one going
I
to
don't
walk.
care.
I'm trying to buy a house in Hardwick and my husband's like, how many horses can you bring there?
Oh, well, you have to get a barn inspection.
much of a
I mean, I'm gonna check it. We have
Nah.
one more question and then you have to let this poor lady leave.
Okay. Do you get calls or anything about chickens, or should that go to Board of Health?
I have gotten calls about chickens. I've gotten calls from, let's see, we've had 5 livestock complaints, and I think at least 2 of those involve chickens. And it was, some of that was the noise of the chickens, some of it was unsanitary conditions for chickens.
Is it the
Um,
same person?
2 different addresses, if I recall. If I, don't quote me on that.
We're not,
7
Someone will
towns and
know.
I'm tired.
Do you redirect them to Board of Health if that's more appropriate? Is that how
If it's
that
more
goes?
appropriate, but I do go. I mean, I usually do go because we are doing this is the only town that I cover the barn inspections for, and that was just something we agreed upon when I came on board. All of my other towns, I do not cover their barn inspections. They have a separate barn inspector that's also an
Does
animal.
barns include chicken coops?
Yes,
Oh, okay, good.
livestock.
Yeah.
So all of my other towns have different barn inspectors or animal inspectors. So for those towns, I am an assistant animal inspector, so I can handle quarantines and things like that pertaining to dogs, but they handle the barn inspections separately. For West Boylston, I do handle the barn inspections. My part-timer went out and did them because primarily weekends is the better time to catch people at home. A couple of those were chicken things. I don't mind, I mean, we will go, we'll assess the situation. If we feel it needs Board of Health intervention, we will contact them, but if we can handle it, we will.
Okay, that's perfect. Okay.
so, I can't even believe I'm gonna ask a question off the question, but you started it. I did, but I just have one more. So you said unsanitary conditions, because I remember these complaints prior to you starting. Do you handle those? Because if it's, the animals are in an area that I'm guessing is not healthy for them, you handle those, right?
If the area is unhealthy for the animal, then we would address that.
Okay,
If the area is something that the neighbors are complaining because they don't like this livestock there, or maybe there are mice or rats coming in because of livestock, which poultry
Yeah.
is a big thing for that, and it's a natural draw for rats particularly,
Yep.
just because of the feed and stuff, and it's becoming an unsanitary condition for humans, we would direct that to the Board of Health.
Okay.
So if it's an animal issue and the animals are unsafe, we'll handle it. If it's
Okay.
becoming a human issue and that they feel like that it's unsanitary for humans, we would direct it for Board of Health. Same thing, even like if it was a cat situation. There is no restrictions for how many cats somebody can have. If I go in and the cats are all healthy and they're fine, but there's 25 of them, but they're healthy and they're fine and they're well cared for and their vaccines are up to date, I'm done. But if those 25 cats, the smell of urine is ridiculous and the people are living unsanitary and the neighbors can smell it, now we're bringing in Board of Health because it's a public health issue more than an animal issue at that point, because the animals are fine.
okay. Well, it seems discriminatory. You can only have 4 dogs without a kennel, but you can have 25 cats.
I know, it's a problem.
All right, well, on that note, I'm gonna let you leave, because I wanna thank you though for coming, this is
Thank you.
great. And then we'll invite you back next year so we can do some comparison on,
Yeah, we'll have the full year next year.
we'll have a full year.
All right.
And you know
Very
where the
good.
Huskies are.
I know nothing.
Good. All right, thanks, Janai. You win, you didn't make it to the seat, you win the award now, come on up.
That's okay, I'm not beating anyone anywhere, so.
All right, so I'm gonna guess you're here on behalf of the Personnel Board to
I am.
review a bylaw.
I'm Cheryl Christant, 130 Hillside Village Drive, and I'm now the chair of the Personnel Board. I've been on the Personnel Board for 4 years now, and there was always discussion about the bylaw. It's not flexible, it's too cumbersome, so we decided now is the time to change it. So what we have, I don't know if that's, we have a draft that takes the 12 pages of personnel bylaw down to 4. Leaving in the things that are required to have in the personnel bylaw. The other things this will allow for the flexibility for the town manager and the department heads through the use of personnel policies that we will have the select board approve. And this will also help us keep up with human resources best practices and to get things done in a timely manner. As it is right now, we have to have, a department head has to put in for a job description, personnel board has to approve it, then it has to go to town meeting.
Yep.
So depending on when it is in the time frame, it may be a year before the department head can even advertise this position. So this will give us a lot more, within the personnel appropriations, this will allow the department heads and the town manager more flexibility.
All right, I just have one question. I liked how this was written just because seems like a very, very detailed process. I like it, but then if you go to town meeting, what I see is one person might say, I just don't like one sentence of it, let's so modify it, and then we kind of start the process over again. And then those people vote on it, yes or no, just because they're there, so they're gonna say yes or no, not really understanding the outcome in some cases, especially this. Is this a lot like other towns? Is there any information like how other towns do this?
Other towns don't have, well, they have a town bylaw that's a standalone, a personnel that stands on, so it's not included in the entire bylaw.
Okay,
So it's strictly just a personnel bylaw. A lot of them just have policies.
okay. Any? You have your hand raised.
Can I have a question?
Go ahead.
Can, in other bylaws that talk about having being married to a guideline, they offer that in the bylaw that says the board, whatever it is, the personnel board, whatever, 5 members, somehow is allowed to make, allowed to have a controlling guideline document, like the other bylaws, just point to it. Can we add that to this so that people will say, where's all that stuff going? We can say, oh, well, it's taken out and here it's
In the
added to this
personnel.
guideline that's referenced in the bylaw. And that's where you look for the rest of the information you're looking for, if
Okay.
you don't find it here. I mean, the board, I mean, I'm suggesting, but it doesn't lock it in. Rarely does it, ever. No, this is probably the first time.
So the article at town meeting will delete the personnel bylaw that we currently have and replace it in full totality with this. So it
Yeah, we
won't
didn't
have
want
like
to do
those,
line by line.
yeah, we won't
thing,
have like the
'cause-
strikeouts, it'll just be completely deleting
I
and
mean,
replacing.
I don't mean in my comment to say that what's missing from here, what was there is someplace else. I just
Right.
want this to point to
Say-
the auxiliary document that, and then, I suppose in that auxiliary document, is the notice or however notifications about changes to that document, is that just our standard notice?
Yes.
Okay, I mean, if
It would
if
be
we
a
want it to be different, put that in there.
So, we have all our policies, this
Yeah.
would become one of that groups of our policies.
It would be one of those, so it's a standard
Yes.
policy notice,
Yep.
okay.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So I know you condensed it to 4 pages. Can you talk about some of the things that were removed?
Quite a few things. So we removed, of course, that chart that had all the job descriptions and what grades they were in. Those will definitely be in part of the classification plan. We took out work hours and overtime, we took out vacation leave, insurance, probationary periods, retirement, resignation, and termination. These are all HR practices more than what should be a bylaw. These are our HR policies within the scope of the whole human resource department, so.
So I see your thinking, Mark.
I am
So,
thinking, Mark.
Yeah, in the bylaw, it refers to the job descriptions. It talks about them.
And
but-
creating a position. That's what we had to do at the last town meeting.
Correct. We won't have to do that anymore. It will live in a policy now.
And when we add it to the policy, that's the way now that we
Come
create
in front of
positions.
us.
Yeah, so we're kind of doing two things. Cheryl has done a wonderful job with putting this together. So everything that came out of here, she moved to another document policy and then reorganized it into policies that have personnel
Sections.
policy 1 and its administration of it. Policy 2, I don't know them
okay.
off the top of my head,
Yeah,
but
that's-
vacations may be a set policy under this whole document now.
Right.
Cool.
That's still a little bit of a working document for the personnel board, that's why that's not here, but in
Yeah.
order for us to move from this, we have to have that ready for
Right.
July 1st, so that it's all set. So
Right, so
this
the-
comes out and we have a policy that's working at that time.
So we have all the draft policies.
Yeah.
Waiting for the bylaw to pass. So it's
So I think-
all teed up for that,
Right,
so.
and the only thing I'll speak to quick is, we had a meeting last night,
Right.
and in here, there's a table for the fire personnel. The fire chief is looking to make an upgrade to that, so that table that you see here in this draft will change. He would like it to have 12 steps, similar to the regular classification, and then, his concern is some of the, salaries are like below minimum wage, so he wants to try to address those as well.
Which is not uncommon, I know, and.
It's not,
Okay.
yeah.
It's not illegal, I guess.
It's
for
not
towns.
addressing it where we'd have a pay change,
No,
because that
so-
would go through a
No.
contract.
Yeah, so,
negotiation.
as a municipal government, we are not upheld to the state minimum wage.
Yep.
We have to follow federal minimum wage, but I think is like 7.25. But
Yeah.
in order for him to retain and find talent, he would just like to, address that.
One more.
So these two tables are still gonna be changed routinely at town
Yes.
meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
They will.
Yep,
Can we make their titles shorter then, so that the slide is?
The title's shorter?
Well, I mean, like, 'cause if it's routine every town meeting, we'll say we're changing the compensation plan table 1 and then the compensation plan fire 1 or whatever, something like that, just so that people get, I don't know, happy.
I think the article that has the COLA increase typically speaks to the bylaw,
This one
so-
too?
Yeah, we would just make
Oh,
it,
you'd just say changing it, we wouldn't have to name
it would
the
just
table.
have, yeah, it would update the
Okay.
COLA that's in the bylaw.
I'll go through. Anyone else, questions? Concerns?
Why didn't we take paid holidays out and put that in the guideline?
Were those one of the things that had to stay?
I think that,
No?
Oh, no, that doesn't have to stay, because, well, that's part of our general bylaw, right, or general?
So Cheryl went
That-
through and
well, this is
checked
the
all
part.
these mass general laws to make
Right.
sure what we had, and we actually, the table, I would have preferred to take the table out, but, we consulted with
couldn't.
Labor Council, and he said, because we originally had this, chapter 41, section 108 in here, even though we've never accepted it, because at some point in time, we put it in our bylaws, it's as if we've accepted, so now we have to keep it.
Oh, and we just modified that every time, okay.
every time,
Yep.
for the pay increases.
And is the observed paid holidays part of that state thing?
I don't,
We could probably take that out.
you want, we can look and see if it
Well,
can come
the only
out.
reason is because it was a thing to put Juneteenth in town meeting.
Right.
I mean, it's not a bad thing, but it's an effort, you know?
Yeah, and then we had to update it in every single contract.
Right.
Right.
When we
When we added
requested to
Juneteenth.
change the contracts to align
Yeah,
to
we can
if we
just-
had
we
a
can look it
policy,
up.
we could have.
We can look it up, and then if we
Yeah.
can't find it, we can ask Labor Council if that's another one that has to stay.
So, real quick, so this is just to acknowledge, or are you looking for a vote of approval to move forward with this?
We need to go to the bylaw.
Yeah, but it goes to bylaws next, so part of this is that the select board has a piece of this puzzle.
Yep.
So when personnel board will review things, it will end up coming here for final approval.
Yep.
So we just, as a personnel board, wanted you guys to know that this is what we're doing and make sure that we have everybody's support to do this.
Well, let's do this. Vanessa, do you support this?
Absolutely.
Mark?
Yes, I would even be in favor of taking out making a whole separate table with the holidays in it, so you could refer to it in contracts.
That's a yes, too. I'm a yes.
That was a long yes.
Jay, yes. Raj?
I'll wait for the bylaw committee.
Okay, let's see.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. All right, going next,
Thank you.
thank you so much.
Cheryl.
So we have two items on the agenda, that we're gonna lump together. One is a ribbon cutting at Mixter Field, because it is opening this year, and the other one is an update from the Parks Commission to discuss, projects, any new projects. Would you like to come forward and give it your update? And we're gonna invite you to the ribbon cutting at Mixter.
Geez, thank you. We have giant scissors.
But Faye, I'll leave that to, I would like to have one. We normally have one when we do something, we open or have something big in town open. So I'm
Ribbon
gonna leave
cutting.
it to Faye to organize with the Parks Commissioners and figure out when it's readily available. But are you willing, is the Parks Commission willing to be part of this?
Yes.
Fantastic. All right, now,
Question quick. Do you have an opening day for softball? Like a
Well,
townwide opening day?
they've already started practicing. That coincides with Little League's parade, and I don't remember the date off the top of
Or
my
we'll
head.
talk
It's
about it,
usually,
but-
actually would probably be right around Easter this year, based on the way the calendar, but I don't know
Okay.
off the top of my head.
Thanks.
well, that's, can you state your name for the record and your
It
position
is James
and
Pedoni,
address?
1 Pheasant Hill Run, here as a Parks Commissioner.
Fantastic. Can you give us an update on your projects?
Sure. So, I'd like to just kind of start where every time I've come asking for money, one of the first questions when it comes to parks is, did you go to CPC? And at the last town meeting, when we asked for money to do the resurfacing of the courts, the town said, why didn't you go to CPC? So I think we hear that there's interest in the town using CPC funds for these kinds of projects. I did submit 2 projects that were both approved by the CPC to go to town meeting. The first one was at Mixter, so actually, before I get too much detail on this, Mixter is not officially done, but it's just waiting for a little bit warmer weather for the contractor to come hook up the, they winterized the irrigation system, and part of their contract was to set it up the first time. So once that's done, it'll be officially done. But other than that, everything's complete and people are using it. We do need a storage unit and a scoreboard for it, and I was hoping to have a little bit left over to do that, but we ended up running basically just full of the money. We're about 6 and change short that will cover out of our field account to finish the project. So that was what one of the articles was, a shed and scoreboard. The other article is, I'm sure you're all well aware of the condition of Woodland. The tennis courts have been closed for many years. I think it's about 7 or so. All I know is it was before COVID, and COVID's 5 years ago now, so it's about 7 or so years, I think, it's been closed. The field was not built well. It doesn't drain, it's not pitched right. Any amount of water makes the field unusable, and if any kind of moisture's on it and people do use it, it gets ruddy and has been deteriorating over the years. So the project is to address all of those needs. The Mixter was approved as a 9-0 vote, and Woodland was approved as a 7-2 vote. I want to go into a little bit of details as far as what went on during the meeting. I completed the CPC application and answered all of the questions to the most detail that I possibly could. And then the meeting itself was about 2.5 hours long. I was probably there for answering questions about 2 hours and 15 minutes on these 2 articles. It was very lengthy, repetitive, and at times inappropriate. Public comments noted the lack of clarity regarding questions being asked by 2 of the members, while other board members tried to explain how these projects work. Those 2 requested highly detailed plans, project financial forecasts, and project plans. The first phase of Woodland is having a landscape architect provide the town with options for fixes, along with assessments and designs. This is not something a volunteer should be expected to do on their own. We want experienced people for this. I explained this in the past. We've had volunteers handle planning, project management, and design, and it's cost the town time and money. Despite efforts to meet these expectations, the 2 board members still criticized not only responses, but also their own board members. It was quite discouraging. I would like to also bring to the board's attention that a CPC member, Tim Whitaker, contacted the landscape architect directly to question the integrity of the Parks Commission. There was also, he actually, and for some reason, I'm not quite sure, also filed an open, a public records request for all information regarding CPC money that was appropriated and spent since 2019 for the Mixter project. There was also discussion about distributing funds evenly across categories rather than approving projects on an as-needed basis, which raises additional concerns about the appropriation of CPC funds. There's a total of $2.2 million of taxpayer money in there, and it's of my opinion that if no one else is asking for it and the parks are asking for it, they should get consideration. Just because somebody else isn't asking doesn't mean that they should be reserving it, waiting for people to ask. There are specific accounts that do mandate certain money is set aside, but the majority of the money is in an undesignated account, which currently sits at over $1.6 million of a balance. I request that the Select Board ensure parks projects are reviewed fairly and consistently without obstruction. While I know the Select Board does not appoint the committee, they do have the ability to disagree with appointments. All boards requesting CPC funds should be held to the same standards for long-term planning and financial forecasts, ensuring that volunteers are not treated unfairly and burdened. Thank you. Any questions?
Can I?
Go ahead.
In the mixture field, there was only one CPC money, right?
Right,
The first money, 600,
652,
yeah. All other monies are from other sources.
and then 150,000 from Representative
Yeah,
O'Day.
yeah, state money and then.
Hmm?
So you did mention that 2.2 million is sitting in the CPC, but that's
That's
not for all of the money for parks.
No, that's the total balance. There's, I don't remember all of them, but there's
What
3
what-
different funds that are designated that have specific purposes. One of them is open space, and I think that that's allowed to be used for parks as well. And then the 1.6 is undesignated, so that can be used for any of the 4 valid reasons to use the funds.
How much was how much money was designated per park? Is there any money designated per parks? Or they can use the?
I don't believe it's specifically designated for parks. I think the category is called open space, and I
Open
think parks fall under that.
Yeah. But we, as a select board, we do take care of parks, right?
Sure.
Every time when you come in, but we do give you a hard time, go to CPC. But at the same time, you did get other places.
Sure, and I just want to, I guess, want to clarify that every other time I went to CPC, that it wasn't as challenging as this.
I agree.
Any other, go ahead.
So I wrote down 2 things. I don't have as prepared a statement. I apologize for the volunteer treatment. Also a volunteer, also would appreciate, a lot of services or something like that. I mean, but I apologize to any volunteer that doesn't have a terrific experience as a volunteer for the town, so.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on that, and it, from my point of view, it felt like there was a lack of trust, and I'm not really sure why there would be such a lack of trust. And all the Parks Commission is trying to do is improve the parks for everybody.
Right, and generally all the volunteers on any of the boards or something like that are trying to do their work to better the town. I mean, they take an oath, for one thing, The other one is about or I want to say we're learning, I guess, about the organization of the Parks Commission, and then we have the Parks Facilities Commission, and that wasn't working out so good, or sometimes it was, sometimes it wasn't. But I think the only thing we've learned is that these engineered projects go better and have incredible outcomes. I mean, both the two projects that have had engineered, engineers in the beginning to set up an idea, concepts, a plan, a schedule, a budget, have gone terrifically. I mean, the one you're talking about, the ribbon cutting we're talking about, is a beautiful field. I mean, it looks terrific. The Pride Park, it looks terrific, you know, and it's working and all this kind of stuff. I think it's unfortunate for the town that the way things are, this kind of construction is expensive, but I do like the outcomes. I do like the fact that the projects are going well, and,
All construction's expensive, especially when you're paying prevailing wage, right? So,
well, I mean, but like, projects used to be just, construction, everything was just a different animal 5-10 years ago or something like that, I think, you know.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, you know, to that point, Pride Park, the original version of Pride Park, that was run by volunteers, correct?
No.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
but
if
2000,
you're going back to the '04
Oh,
time
yes,
period,
yes.
yes.
Designed by-
2009.
But that's the point. And do you know the history of the tennis courts in Woodland?
it was the Arts Foundation.
Well, you know, I played on them as a kid, so that's how old they are. And I don't think they were ever really maintained very well. They weren't maintained like our new ones, for sure.
Sure.
Now there's a sinkhole, there's speculation as to why, but no one really knows for sure. And that has to be taken into consideration with this project.
So professional attention would be appropriate to that.
Correct.
So, can I?
Go ahead.
I have one more questions, you know. I came to know a lot of things about I was not on that meeting, but I came to know a lot of information came out of the meeting. Do you think, maybe this is you know, they didn't give you any hard time for the mixture field because it's a smaller money, we do
No,
need
they
the
did,
shed?
no, that was about 45 minutes worth of the conversation too. I'm guessing, I don't really know, because I didn't realize it was 8:30 when I got off the table. I sat here from probably about 6:15 to 8:30, and I had no idea until I looked at my phone, and I couldn't believe the amount of time I spent answering questions. And I had to have repeated myself at least 5 times in some instances. And there was other members of the committee trying to, I guess, get my point across as well, and it was just going around and around in a circle. One of the comments came back from one of the members saying, well, you didn't list that in the application, based on the question he was asked. The reason why the question about specifics that he was asking for wasn't listed is because we're not there. The very first thing says, describe the work that's going to be completed. So I wrote, see attached, and presented the document of the 2 different phases of what this $150,000 would be used for, and all the specific actions that will be taken as a result of it, because that's essentially what the application was asking. So what they then wanted wasn't anything that the application had asked for at that time.
I do support the Woodland Park, you know, I know that, you know, several times. So I know the tennis court is in a very bad shape. It should have taken care of long time back. Like our mixer school, as well as the swimming pool, you know, with less money, we could have saved the swimming pool as well as the mixer school. So same thing, you know, we could have saved that tennis court also, and also the baseball field is very bad also, yeah. So, but the only worry I have is, you know, as a select board member, how are we going to get the money to fix that field?
So the plan is to
That's the
see what's feasible and what the cost estimates would be, and we would attempt to go to CPC again. There's really, you know, as long as it's not an outrageous amount of money.
Hopefully it won't come like a $25 million project,
No, I don't,
like the Goodale
I
Park.
don't think it's Goodale Park, version 2. I don't think so.
I'm hoping.
So there's a lot of differences between these 2 projects, but
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, you are dismissed.
all right.
Thank you for
Thank you.
attending.
Let me know on the ribbon cutting.
We'll think about
Thank
it.
you, everybody.
All right. I know we're terribly out of order, but you know, we like to keep it fun and spicy. Faye, before I jump to any other,
Somebody commented on there.
comments closed, I can't because it's not open. But, oh,
It's a future.
yeah, we see it, so I can say we see that on there, but, all right, so Faye, because we're completely out of order and I'm checking boxes here now, is there anyone or anything that I have to go first with, or now can I just proceed? As,
What are the people here?
they're here to see me.
Well, clearly. So are they done?
I think so. All right. Well, today's giving me the nod, so I'm gonna go with that. All right, so, the next item I'm gonna talk about is, another item that I actually asked to be on the agenda, and it says discussion on senior center. I asked for this item on the agenda because I wanted to have, in my capacity, as chair of the board, I can't actually discuss a lot of things without being in an open meeting and having it on the agenda. So I was actually informed, by a member of the community that I was on a agenda for our COA. And I had to go look and see what that was, and I went and looked, and sure enough, I was not only on the COA agenda, our acting town administrator was also on the agenda. So this meeting occurred on March 31st at 2 p.m. at the senior center. I'm just gonna go through, because I imagine you guys might not know what this agenda is. So it said approving of meeting minutes from February 2025, Chair's Corner. The next item was chair discussion with acting town administrator and select board chair. Underneath that had public input, then newsletter, monthly calendar review. The next item was director's corner, senior center activities and or other business. The next item, outreach personnel Kim, special event, an Easter Bunny event, discussion on senior center FY25 budget. Next item, liaison from COA to the Friends of the Senior Board, a pitch discussion, acting town administrator, and it has Faye's name in there, lucky enough, will be attending and possibly the chair, the select board chair, and set a date for COA April 2025 meeting. So in receiving this, it was very broad, and I did reach out to the chair of the COA with our town administrator saying, I see that we are both on an agenda. Can you, first, you should alert someone when they're gonna be on an agenda, especially during the middle of a workday. Second, confirm with them that they can be present, but we'd also like to understand what is happening? Like, what's are we sitting up there? Like, what are we doing? We did receive an answer. The answer was, well, you know, it was, I thought you were gonna be there, so we put it on. There's gonna be a discussion. So I attend the meeting, and as I'm getting out of the car and walking up to the meeting, there are two members walking in saying, you know, I don't know what's going on, but we received this and we have to be there. And I was like, well, this is interesting. Maybe they're in the same boat. I'm in the lobby and I'm standing in the lobby area and it is filling up with people because there is a class going on. But everyone's allowed in the door, and I'm giving you what happened personally to me, and I'm standing there and I'm like, this seems odd. And there were more and more people coming, to the point there were no parking spaces left at the senior center. So while standing in the front of the building by this coffee area, many members that are there are talking about them receiving a printed agenda to this meeting, phone calls saying, come, you need to support, and everyone there not sure what was going to happen or what was actually happening during this meeting. So I didn't feel too lost because they were completely confused by the agenda. They knew they had to be there, something was happening, but no one knew. So class lets out, we walk in, we start loading chairs and more chairs, and the room fills up. I'm sitting in the back and the meeting kicks off by the chair. They had to get a microphone because people couldn't hear because the room was so full. And me and the town administrator, I'm speaking for you, but I'm just giving a recap of what happened. We don't get invited to the table. Actually, we stand in the back of the room. And we start to hear the chair go through the agenda and open it up. He reads public input, the actual same thing we have here. It's a 15-minute time or a 5-minute, and he allows people to talk. And very quickly, We have another employee of the town stand up and read a statement talking about supporting Lisa, supporting the senior center, and how, recapping this, the select board chairman and the town administrator, how we're kind of getting involved in this, and this is all because of a program that's happening within the senior center. Standing in the back of the room still, listened to all the input, wasn't sure if what my place was in that meeting at all. And this went on for several minutes, very planned, very orchestrated, and really seemed very divided. A lot of people stood up saying, we support Lisa and we need to be behind her. And I wasn't sure what had happened here, where someone thought somebody wasn't behind Lisa or something was happening here, because that was the aura of the sense of the room. And it was very unclear to me. So we're gonna fast forward. Many people speak out against a program. There was someone there from that program that said, wait a minute, what's happening? They speak. This continues. There's also talk about the monthly calendar that goes to the COA. No vote was taken by the chair of that committee. There was talk about how it's part of the Council on Aging. If you look at the charge of the Council on Aging, which I had a chance after, the Council on Aging was actually, it offers a range of programs and services and activities to our community. This department receives funding by local tax dollars, appropriated at annual town meeting. The Friends of the West Boylston Senior Center are the fundraising arm of the organization, and they supplement certain things in that department. So during this, one of their charges is the scheduling of programs at the senior center. And during that conversation was that wasn't what they were going to actually do. That was going to be left to the senior center director. There seemed to be various conversations about this. It was very unclear to me what was happening, because the reality is committee cannot change their charge without voting on it, right? Or having something. But whatever happened, the chair at that point says, okay, so we're going to keep things the way they are without doing a vote of the board, saying Lisa will continue scheduling, we're going to move on to the next agenda. This moves forward, and Faye, I think at some point you stand up and are trying to also figure out what is happening here. I don't know if you want to give you a recap. I'm trying to give you a summary.
No, I think that's a good summary. So I had stood up to speak. I had let the chair know that I would be attending the meeting after a meeting with him because we had received a complaint from the person that manages the pitch. And in this meeting, we had talked about a possible solution. So a solution I had suggested was that we have the Council on Aging review the schedule before it needs to go to print and so on. And so my thought process was to attend the meeting and just have this discussion and see if that may become the resolve, for the ongoing issue that has been going on for about 9 months now. I think everybody, town administrators, all the way through have heard this. So that was my thought. And I did speak up and say that this was something we had discussed. I was merely here to help try to figure out a solution to this.
Thank you for that. Right before the end, I didn't actually speak until a member of the board had asked if I was going to speak, because I was on the agenda a couple times, so I walked to the front and I said, I guess I could speak. I am the chair of the select board. And I did speak to, not the board actually, I spoke to the audience, because the audience, you could see, was charged with unsure energy. They were brought to a meeting room. They had no clue what was happening. It was very confusing. There were members of other town senior centers there that were asked to basically stay, who weren't you know, they had no clue what was happening. So very orchestrated, did not have a good feeling in that room, and I don't think anybody in that room felt good about it. So I got up and spoke and said, you know, I'm really unsure where this came from, and what I heard from you folks walking in is no one actually knows why they're here, because this was very vague, and didn't provide much detail. And there's a sense in this room that we are here to support Lisa. Is, you know, where did the Lisa, and someone yelled out from the audience in front, a few, word of mouth. We are here to support Lisa. And I wanted to make it very clear to the audience and everyone else, there was nothing to speak of with Lisa. And I think most of the members were in the audience, they were like, wait, what? It sounded like they were given misinformation and led to a room, which I find personally inappropriate. And I find the way the meeting was run as a whole disturbing, to say the least. So I mentioned the meeting that I happened to be in the town hall when Faye had the meeting with the chair of the COA. And I asked three simple things, and I said it to the room. I asked what the COA board did. I sit here today on April 2nd. I've not only the chair, but in that meeting room, no one could articulate what that is, because the charge of the COA is not followed in any way, which does create the tension I saw in that room and the misunderstanding of how things work. So the second thing I asked is around public comment. One of the things that was brought up in that meeting was, on every agenda, there was no public comment, and based on the senior center's charge, it is about understanding what the seniors want, what programs you want, what's happening, what do you like, what do you not like, really getting, they're a resource, they're getting that feedback, and they are acting on that. And there was great pushback, I'm gonna say great pushback, on adding public input. I don't know if we're gonna want that. That to me is very confusing, because I sit here in this seat. So we get feedback on a constant basis, whether we like it or not. Messages, Facebook, knock on our home, calls at all hours of the day and night if there's a pothole. This, to me, to this moment, I don't understand why there wasn't public comment, why you wouldn't want to hear from seniors, right? Because they're not able to, in some cases, they're not emailing you, they're gonna come to talk to you. The third one was truly, for me, an understanding of what am I missing? What is the value here? What is the goal that, how do we make this a little bit better? Because as much as we're focusing on one program, there are other issues that we have received. And one of the biggest issues that stand out to me is just some of the understanding of how the building, say, is accessed and when. To this day, kind of in front of that room of people that was absolutely full, I asked those 3 questions in the meeting we had with Faye and the COA chair, but prior to that, we had that the same questions. I sit here today on April 2nd, because I've received a lot of phone calls about that meeting and what happened. I still cannot answer any of those questions. So I want to bring this because I feel that since I was put on an agenda, and I know many probably people saw it and they've gotten messages since, I need to give you a readout and a recap. I also need to say this is something that I bring up because the Council on Aging, right, is just like any of us. It's a members that are appointed by the town administrator, and at the end of the day do come through this board. The director at the senior center does report directly to the town administrator for every activity that they do. I am very confused leaving that. What I saw in the room and what I openly said in that room was it looked like this was a orchestrated circus to create division and divide. I was disturbed to find out a meeting agenda like this was handed out at our center, and that everyone still left that room confused on what was even the point of being in there for that period of time. So I give this to you because this is the right forum, I think. It's when things escalate, I said in the room, at the end of the day, we answer to that. We're the elected officials. Everything stops with us. And unfortunately, this comes one of those terrible times where it is actually the town administrator's job. But when it gets to be actually 10 months, and this isn't just 10 months, I was around when Nancy was around, and I brought that up. This has been a consistent trend. Now it sits here, and I tell you guys this information because now I need to bring it to the board that oversees a lot of items and say, I was shocked by what I saw. Now I'll be quiet and open it up for discussion.
I have a question. So just, just hearing about this, I too received a few calls after that meeting. I was told that there were also calls sent out to, and I just want to know, first of all, why and how those flyers and calls happened, and was every person that has an access card or that goes to the senior center on a regular basis given one of those flyers or a call, or was it just a select few? And then you kind of already said this, but I'll raise it again. If the COA doesn't approve the programming ahead of time, what do they do?
Okay, I have another question.
Go ahead.
On the card thing, isn't the card thing or the signing in only to document how much use the building gets? Like, it doesn't really, I don't know what else it's for except for that. Is that true?
No, they have to sign in for the programs. Say, suppose if you are going for a card game, or if they are going for a belly dance, they have to sign in.
Belly dance?
Yeah. You want to sign up for that?
I,
You are a senior, right?
well, so I didn't know about the card reader or the fob key access. I know that was, there's mention of this, but I don't know, do all our seniors have key fobs to get in?
Yes,
Is
they
it
have to. They have to sign, when they go in, say suppose you are going for a program, making a cards, they have to sign in.
Yeah, but that's at that terminal so that like your attendance.
program they are
But to
going.
get in the building, nobody can get in the
No,
building
no,
if it's
no,
locked.
nobody
building.
can
It's
get
only
in
for
the
the program itself.
Yeah, okay.
But my question was more, for all, everybody who has one of those cards, did they all receive this call? Did they all get this flyer, or was it just a select
I
few
think,
people?
can I say something? Why don't we invite maybe the COA as well as the senior center director? Why don't we invite and in a future meeting, maybe ask them? So because,
Well, we're both members here, and I think
Aye.
we represent the opposite poles of the views on this. So if you have any questions for me, or possibly for Dave as well, go ahead.
I would, the only
I would-
problem I have with this though, is because it's a little different. Public comment is closed. I don't want to be rude, but public comment is closed, right? So I can't interact with you guys in a format like this, but what I can say is, at the board's discretion, the board can at a future date put a meeting on the agenda, that maybe would be a joint meeting, but at this time we can't. But what I'm looking for from this board is, this triggered a response from the chair and absolutely got the chair's undivided attention, and now I bring it to yours to say, I think at this level, we need to take a harder look at a solve.
I attended the meeting. I left the meeting not knowing what just happened, why we were having this meeting, what the content was. But to Raj's point, I'd really like to see a presentation from the COA, maybe, and it's in particular the director. What are the programs? What are the what is the throughput? What's the traffic? Who's going in? What programs are being attended?
how many people?
How many people? And how many repeat, like versus the total number of people that are eligible to participate? I'd really like to see some of that data.
Just to add to that, sorry. I also wouldn't mind if maybe there was some kind of like community survey for people to see if the programs are working, or, what people are enjoying and not enjoying.
So to add on to your comments, the senior center in this town, people are still today, they are talking, the senior center was built, but it is not utilized for the fullest. So, you know, we do need to open up the senior center for more programs, more hours, and also, you know, a little bit more welcoming. So I feel like, you know, senior center, the welcoming part is missing, and my feeling is, you know, if the program is doing good, why do we need to stop it? That's only my question.
I only bring one more other
So that-
thing that came up in, I missed it, so I'm gonna apologize. Public buildings. So the senior center is not in, there was, multiple people approached me about the inability to access the building. That is not legally allowed. So I wanna make it very clear to the public, and there were about 7 people that approached me on the way out. That building, just like this town hall, is accessible. At any time, if somebody tells you you are not allowed in that building, Faye, I do want to call to this office because they are breaking the law. That is a public building that is not owned by any of those members. It is owned by the taxpayers of this town. And to have 7 different people tell me people told them to sit in the parking lot, that they weren't allowed in the meeting, they weren't allowed in there. They're not allowed to talk in the front lobby. They're not allowed to sit in the front lobby. Those are all things that are not allowed. Just like this building, right now, someone could come in and yell out the hallway. I can't ask them to leave this building. This is a public building paid for by the taxpayers. The building also, just like this one, someone can walk in, or someone on here, can walk in with a camera and videotape me or take photos of me in a public building. You are not allowed unless you are in a bathroom area, a locker room area, or a locked area of a building. I'll use my example, town clerk, treasurer, those are areas that are off limits to the general public. They are absolutely allowed to videotape, take pictures, and I will tell you, if someone approaches you or aggressive to you, you should absolutely call the town hall. I was very disturbed that it was not, the people that were brought there to support also voiced that they have been told they could not enter a public building. That is something I want to state. That is not a rule of this select board. This is a rule in any city, any town. You cannot lock people out of a building because you don't want them there that day.
I was just gonna add that buildings can have hours, so when it's open, you can't do that. You know.
So during the operation hours, which I think is, Faye, 7 to 3?
The senior center?
Yes.
I'm not sure. I think it
it's
closes
like
at 3.
8.
I'm not sure what time it opens. I'm thinking 8.
8:33?
So, during the hours of operation, at any point, someone can walk through those doors. They could be like this and have this up, and not at any moment could someone tell you or instruct you to put it away. It is against the law. You cannot do that. If you walk into a bathroom, that's a problem. But I can't stop someone from walking up and standing right here in front of me with a camera. That doesn't change because we're at that building. We're all exposed to the same thing. So that was one of the topics that came up that I did research, I did ask, and yep, it's not any different. I just feel like these were some staple things that were brought up. They asked for this on the agenda, and I wanted to address those items as they are fact. Any other question before we move on to something else?
Let's put it for an agenda item.
Well, I want to add to what you said, there is the, I don't know if it's quite a policy, but there is the offering, like if you want to have a birthday party there, you can request to
Yes.
reserve a room.
So there is.
During hours.
During that, so the senior center, that was actually one of our goals.
I know, we're trying to make that better.
Two years ago at this point, the senior center, through the senior center director, is supposed to be able to rent that space out to folks. That is not a fundraising item, which I found to be a little bit of an excuse. That was an area that we asked 2 years ago that every other senior center I've been to, I've gone to Holden, I've gone to Sterling. I've gone to events at these. I went to a Jeep event in like Connecticut at a senior center. I thought it was actually pretty cool. They kind of schedule those because they know the schedule of when they have things there. That was one of them, and then there was also a comment on the Friends, which is the arm of the West Boylston Senior Center. It's a fundraising arm. A member of that committee also approached me because they were told to leave the building and they were not allowed to sell tickets in the building per the selectmen.
Tickets or what?
Of an event that was happening that was part of a
At the senior
fundraising event for the senior center, as they are the fundraising arm of the COA. I have never made that charge. I checked our meeting minutes from years. We have never said that, so that was outright not true.
It's probably me.
So there's a few things I'd like to also bring I didn't realize it was a whole separate group of individuals. It's COA and it's the Friends of the COA or Friends of the Senior Center. I'd like to bring them all because there seems to be some misinformation. It should be a fairly interesting meeting, and I think that's what they want, right? Because why else would you call the chair of the select board to this meeting unless you wanted the select board to take action? So I heard you, I listened to you, and we're here saying we're absolutely gonna get involved now, and we're gonna take action and help you and guide you through this. So what I'm hearing is the board wants to put on a joint meeting. We will get that on the schedule, and we'll have a future agenda item for, go ahead,
Okay.
go phase first. Oh.
A joint meeting or a presentation?
I'm gonna ask for, I'd say, Faye, I would like a presentation, not only maybe from the senior center, but I'd also like a presentation from the COA board to better understand what they're providing the seniors. I'm guessing we would need a presentation from the,
Director?
not the director, COA, and then the fundraising arm, because I think they all do different type of things. I think. I could be wrong. I don't actively get involved in this stuff normally, so I'm learning and I'm researching online. And then, so a presentation and then also a joint meeting to discuss some of the things that we saw in this meeting. Anything else that I missed?
She answers or is appointed or whatever is by the town administrator. Do you want the town administrator to give it a shot before we get into the meeting?
I'm gonna leave this, so this is also, the bad part of this is all under the authority of the town administrator. So the town administrator usually doesn't want a board like us getting involved in their business, right? But then this happens, and then unfortunately, she has now 5 people to try to figure out how we're gonna corral and bring this together. But I think it'll be good, helpful.
So I guess my question would be, did you want that at a future select board, or did you want it at a special meeting?
No, let's do it future select board item.
So, select board.
Well,
Okay.
I mean, you might
No,
want.
the joint
unless-
meeting is what
The
I'm talking
joint meeting, we probably need to do a special meeting. We'll do it at the senior center, so we can have, I mean, if that room was full, I'm guessing it's gonna be full again. So we get some context and
Okay.
we'll have some space, because here, I have 40 people that could fit here. All the seats are usually full when I have a select board meeting, so.
Do you think that'll be, I'm a little concerned about the starting date of the new town administrator.
That was gonna be my follow-up. So, I think we'll probably run into Heather participating in that, and that's
Yes.
okay.
But I don't want her to be on her first day, like, here you go, bam.
I agree. So, but we don't know
I
people's
figured, why
schedules
not?
either, so we'll see.
Welcome. Welcome to
Here's-
town.
Here's a suggestion. Perhaps we can have some presentations to a regular select board meeting and then have a joint meeting based on some of the information that we receive through those presentations.
I think I'm fine with, why don't I'll leave this to you, because I know neither of us. I'll leave this as presentations, how will we want to stagger those, and also the joint meeting, which will be a special meeting, so we could fit everyone in one room. I'm not even sure how many members there are. And then I would request, Faye, as acting town administrator, I believe there is some information I was reading myself, but we need to send department heads. I know there was a department head meeting long ago that talked about, just talked about public spaces and what you can and cannot do in it. I kind of want to reiterate that. I know there's a department head meeting coming up, and then formally put that it's, you know, that great thing, but did you document it in an email and send a follow-up? Maybe talk about it there and say, hey, what we can or can't do, just a refresher, and then an email out notifying folks, because I still think there could be some confusion. Does that sound fair? Also
Do you wanna
one
give
sent
everybody
out
one?
about service animals in areas like this, any of our public buildings. Sure. We'll just put it together. Go ahead.
Do you want to give her the way to push it so that it's after the new TA starts, maybe give her a week or
Well,
something?
I think that's
have-
probably gonna be, that's
What
what,
happens?
how that's
But
gonna work out.
just to say that's
Yep.
okay for it to be 3 weeks from now.
Yep.
I mean, it's okay.
Yeah, sure,
Okay, there we go.
thanks.
All right.
Unless there's urgency.
And I think you know, I will say I am happy to attend any of the meetings in town. I try to attend a lot of them, but in the future, if you want me to attend, just reach out to me, because if I can't attend, I can also send any one of these wonderful people to attend the meeting in place. Once we can deem someone. So if you do want us, we're great. I'd also offer to the COA board. These are all volunteer boards. If you need someone from the select board to sit on that board for a while and assist with process, with kind of how things are run, I would imagine any one of us would help, because the success of the senior center helps actually bring this not to our table. So we're gonna help in any way possible, and we can appoint someone from this board to sit upon those and help. This is an offer to you. I'm looking at you because it's 10 months. All right? Okay, I'm gonna leave unless someone yells something. I'm gonna jump to the next one.
What's 10 months?
I've been hearing about this,
Oh,
the
okay.
problem for 10 months. Okay, so I'm moving forward to the next item, and now I've jumped around, so I gotta check my boxes.
We could go back to review of policies.
I would love to do that.
All right.
So I'll give you guys an update. So because I really like the select board and I hand out homework, and recently we had some needs to review all select board policies, we have 99 select board policies, in which I've read several of them, but I thought, why not share my joy and assign those policies to be reviewed and updated by different members of this board. We voted on it at a meeting, and luckily, one member of the board who
Somebody did
wins
something?
wins,
Oh my goodness.
wins the prize for reviewing them and putting them forward. And they put forward 3 policies. And I'll be quiet, but thank you for doing the work.
Okay, I'll start.
All right, so the first one is on roles and process. I mean, I didn't have any huge changes. I mean, I think a lot of these are going to say Board of Selectmen, which I think should be changed to the Select Board. Correct me if I'm wrong.
That's gonna be the case across the entire
Yeah.
policy manual, so
I mean, I'm just highlighting it when I see it, but I think if we can just make a broad sweep to change that phrasing. There's also a word in here that says "he shall submit," you know,
That sounds
referring to
good, that's
the
good.
town administrator, and I
Yeah.
think that should be changed to he, she, they, something.
I
Other
would
than
think
he?
probably they.
Yep.
They,
So then I had submit to the annual town meeting for approval. I just wasn't sure. Is this supposed to be semi-annual? Is this supposed to be, you know, does this happen once a year? I just wasn't sure how the wording should be for that.
I'm guessing we have 2 a year, but
One is the
I'm
official.
wondering if it's just submit to town, if I would change that just to submit to town meeting, right? You can pick
Just take
either
out
one,
annual.
an annual town meeting, whatever one you want to go to is fine.
I think you just submit it to the town meeting and maybe just cross out annual. Capital Investment Board, I wasn't sure if we were combining that with
Oh.
FinCom or leaving it as is.
I think that's its own board.
Okay.
Yep.
And
I
then
think we have to be careful on that annual town meeting, though. I think there is actually, if you say it's an annual town meeting, there's only one. There's
She's
an
just
annual
saying
town meeting
annual,
and
she's
then
just
another-
calling it town meeting, so whether it be annual or
Oh,
semi,
okay,
it's
so you want to be able to apply
just
that
toss
to
out.
either?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I ask one question? The one that we have in our packets, I don't have it up in line, usually it has the edits. Is this the edited one, or is this the recommended?
This one, it looks like it didn't print with the edits.
Okay, 'cause I
I'm
was like,
looking at it
she's
too,
reading
but
it
I'm
and
like, I know it
shit.
was colored.
Okay, so,
click on it in your packet, it does show what the
Okay.
edit
It had
might
blue,
be.
Oh,
blue
okay.
edits,
But,
sorry.
Because mine doesn't have the edits, it just has
Right.
highlighted edits.
this makes it, I didn't want to stop you, but I was,
okay.
So
And then,
I,
oh, go ahead.
to your point about the town meetings, we call it the semi-annual town meetings. so
Yeah, so we just changed it to semi-annual,
it's semi-annual.
okay.
We
And
call them
then-
both semi-annual?
Yep, semi-annual town meetings.
And then the last thing is just, shall report to the town meeting in writing whenever possible. I just wasn't sure if that's still necessary for the in writing to,
Wait, where? Oh, in.
last line. I didn't know if, with the times changing since this was edited in 2010, I wasn't sure if that was something that we still do. And if it is, great, keep it. If not,
Well, I think we have something where it's, I think you could, I'm not sure, actually, this is different from each of the boards do it a little different, because we have some of that, but, hold on, just one.
So I think it would probably be like at town meeting, you know how people get the booklets? It has usually the recommendations in there.
okay.
We do verbal recommendations, the moderator requests that,
Yeah.
but I think that's what that's speaking to.
Okay. That's all I had on that one.
So
All
the,
right.
the idea there is to create a documentary record, right?
To be in writing.
Yeah.
I think it needs to be something that's a record,
Okay.
you know?
So let's do, I'm trying to get this open too, and it just hates me. Let's go one by one, because what I'm wondering is, right now, what we would have to do is approve the changes that are being recommended, and then we would vote to approve that and then move forward. So,
So, but for each one, we're not gonna do
for,
all of them.
no, for
Yeah.
each one individually. So
I can make the motion if you want.
if you want to make the motion, then we'll go through. I don't have this.
So I
edited one.
motion to change the policy on roles and process to changing Board of Selectmen to Select Board, wherever applicable, to changing annual to semi-annual, and changing he to they.
Do I have a second?
Second.
What was
Do I
this
have
change?
further discussion on this one?
Oh,
Wait,
sorry.
there's one more change.
This is not a big deal at all. I forgot, yeah. I just wasn't sure if deal with was the correct phrase that we want to use, or manage annual budget. I
Oh,
don't
hold
really
on.
care either way. I was being nitpicky. I didn't know how far we wanted to go with this.
Just fine, I would do the management.
I think manage,
Okay, so, and also to change deal with to manage.
and I will, again, second that.
Okay. Any further discussion?
I'm concerned about this annual town meeting, because I think we have an annual town meeting and then we have another one. But in some legal sense, there's one town meeting and then another. It's something about, I don't know where it's written someplace.
Do you think it should be?
Maybe it should just say all town meetings.
Let me see. Submitted to the town meeting for approval? I mean, just,
What do they
I
call-
think they're named different for some legal reason, for some reason.
No, what do they call May town meeting and
So
what do they
we call it, West Boylston
Town
conducts,
clerk.
West Boylston conducts their semi-annual town meetings twice a year.
Yep. So I would,
May and
so
October.
let's do semi-annual
Okay.
town meetings.
And that's what the motion was too.
Yep.
Okay. All right, then or are we
Well,
voting now?
Are we,
So-
any for
Well,
discussion?
I hope this is appropriate. Some of the corrections being made in this motion, changing it to Board of Selectmen, I'd like that, and perhaps this is a different motion, right? But if we can just change that across the board,
We can't.
and we can't, we have to.
There's
do
no system. It's gonna be
policy
one by one.
policy. All right, that's fine.
So they.
That's the
they-
same
they
thing with
do-
our bylaws. It's one at a time.
Yep, okay.
They do call our town meeting a semi-annual town meeting, both May as well as October.
Oh, they're both
town
called, okay,
Yeah.
all right.
It's in the town, website,
Okay.
town clerk's page.
All right. Any further discussion on this one? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That one passes. All
So-
right.
Should we make the motion that, in all of them,
We
when
We
other people are
cannot. I just
reviewing
said
it?
that to him. We can't make sweeping
No, no,
changes.
but now we'll make it our policy. Not our policy, but make it like, well, this is something we're gonna change in all of them, so when we're going through
Oh,
them, this
if
is
you
just gonna happen
just
when you
say-
touch it.
Yeah, I would just say, in the beginning of it, just say that anywhere where it says selectmen will be changed to select board in the policy.
Here's
That's
a
being
question.
adopted.
Here's a question. So each policy has that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is the compendium, do we have to change, officially, take a vote on the name of the compendium of all these policies?
What do you mean? It's,
that the
we
name
voted
of
to
the way
change
pages come out?
selectmen prior to me, but change selectmen to select board many, many moons ago.
Well, I guess what I'm saying, though, is so do we call it the policies of the West Boylston Select Board? We're not calling it the policy.
Yes, this would be the Town of West Boylston, Select Board policies. I get what you're saying, so
Right. So I guess what I'm
the
saying,
title here, Faye.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So the title here is what he's saying, so not only within the body, but
Yeah,
we would
everywhere
say
where
the
it says
Town
so-
of West Boylston.
so, but we can make a sweeping motion on that.
We don't have a service to do a big motion.
Oh, not so much that
Someone
it
still has to
happens, but
edit.
that the policy, or that
Just
the
the
action
opinion,
happens.
right? So where it says the West Boylston Board of Selectmen policy, that's the header. That's not the policy itself. That's just the header.
So, but for every policy, we have to have a public
Right.
type of posting, so we have to post all of them to do a sweeping one. So I'd have to say 99 on 99
okay.
of the policies to do the sweeping change. All right, so on the next one that I have in front of me is the policy on the budget process and timing,
Yeah.
timeline.
So again, change Board of Selectmen to Select Board, change deal to manage, deal with. That was it.
I'll make a motion to accept the edits as presented
Policy number E2.
on policy E2.
Any other discussion?
Second.
Oh, you have second. All right, any other discussion?
Is there anything we want to change in the dates?
I went through it all.
Change the
I
budget.
mean, do we want to make things different?
I think you would have to change those boards, right? Final CapEx, capital budget request are due to be sent to the CIB, like, this is like process oriented. So if we wanna change that though, I don't think we could change fiscal year, proposing an operating budget.
There's
Do you-
also a thing at the bottom that just says it can be modified by many factors too, so
I
it's
don't
not
think
a-
so.
it's
Finance
kind of a
committee will
catch-all.
be happy to listen to you, Mark. If
No,
you
I
change
think-
all those.
Nobody's
I
happy
think
to
you
listen to
should.
me.
No, listen, I am,
Not new.
I am.
I will just say that these three policies were three that didn't require other boards' input. I did ask a couple other boards to help with some of the other policies too. So these were just the three I was getting started with that I thought that I could handle without other boards' input.
But are there other things that you see, Mark, that you're bringing up that,
No, I mean,
Okay.
I just, it's a lot, and they don't like a lot. I would like it simpler, but to catch everything, you know? I'm thinking about the, street acceptance policy for the planning board, which is like launching the shuttle twice, returning it and bringing it back and doing other things, because it's so, do 1,000 things, 1,000 people check things, and after that, 1,000 more people come in and run around the room. You know, and I don't like the complexity of them, because they don't help anything being complex. So
I
was
don't,
just offering the
I'll go with,
suggestion.
I don't disagree in a lot of the things that I've seen, but this I think is something we have to
Easy
do to make sure we get the accessor calculations and all the different things, so I think it's more process oriented than anything. And I would have to say, if we wanted to change the outline of this, I probably think we need Leslie, the assessor, CIB. We have to bring a few more of them to the town. We'd have to bring them here for this.
I think this just keeps everybody on schedule,
Yep.
Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
on the same page.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, so this one passes. Next one, policy E, well, this one says E3, policy for public participation.
The only change I had was changing Board of Selectmen to Select Board.
Any other discussion? Oh, do I have a motion?
Oh, actually, on this one, wait, on this one, should we get rid of the town meeting mailer?
Oh,
Wait,
I
didn't
thought we
we-
did.
Hold on, but didn't we had a,
Postcard.
No.
Well, yeah, but whatever, yeah, but the
It's the
mailing,
mailer.
we had a
Survey.
survey. In the survey, people still wanted the mailer.
Okay, so then,
I would like to re-poll
Yes, I would.
everybody. Actually, we could do it at town meeting, because so it's very costly, first of all. I think it's upwards of
it's over 1,000, I think.
$1,500 to mail these. And I have asked people if they received what I mailed them, and they say no. And they say, oh, I might have just gotten it and thrown it out. So I would like to re-poll people if they receive it. So at town meeting with the clickers now, we could add that as a poll while everybody's waiting for town meeting to
I would
start.
love that. That would be great.
I think Damien said we could do that. I thought that was a thing we could add.
Well, we have a warrant article. We'll just add it as a warrant article, and then they can vote on it.
Warrant's closed.
Fine.
Thank you.
That was a
Nice,
hard
nice
no,
job.
right? All right, do I have a motion?
Well, so we're leaving the time
We're
now.
gonna leave it, we're leaving it until we
We
have.
can always
a
change
survey.
it, Mark.
We can come back to it.
Yeah.
Just a
We can always
policy,
change
it's not a
it.
bylaw.
Motion to change Board of Selectmen to Select Board and keep the rest.
In E3. In policy E3.
So just
Oh,
accept
in
it with the
E3.
changes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No, it passes. All right. Next item I have, and I'm going just however I want now. KP Law annual cost for service for FY '26. Faye, do you wanna take this away?
Sure, so I just decided to insert that to tonight's meeting. I think a question had been asked in the past, recent days. How much is our legal fees? And so KP Law every year sends us a notice letting us know what our rates are. So before you can see, KP Law provided that to us back in January with the rate increases, which are, these will effective FY '26, which begins July 1st. Their hourly general legal services is increasing by $10, so it's $255 per hour. And that's just for general labor counsel. And then KP Law also offers like specialty counsel. Some of it is, for example, that comes before you is the cannabis. So that's considered a specialty counsel. And those rates vary. As you can see on the list here, some of them are $375 an hour. Zoning stuff is $330 an hour. Election recounts, if that ever occurs, $330 an hour. Cable TV licensing, $330, and bond counsel has a fee calculated when it's there.
Can I, well, I'm gonna trump you on just 1 second though, I don't mean to. So part of this also is around, I think, some of the same public I hear complaining about taxes increasing and the cost of things are also submitting several open, public records requests that, we, of course, are mandated to reply, but at some cases has someone charging $255 an hour to review those. That is your tax dollars at work. There's not something we can do. It's part of kind of what we're going, and I think part of that I want to just say, Faye, thank you for bringing this up, but this is an ask of, why does that line item so high? Why is that, we're paying that when we have, I'm gonna pick on you just for a second, zoning meetings going for 6 hours, planning board meetings where you have legal counsel going for 6 hours.
Never had legal counsel.
27, well, they have to be reviewed though. 27,
We omit that.
27 open records requests that have personnel say type issues in them, that require legal interaction, because like many things, we can't answer a lot of those questions for you. So those hours, that is $255 an hour, as you can imagine, adds up pretty quick because they're not charging you for, I responded to that and that was 5 seconds or 5 minutes. There's a certain period of time with that. So just, I think this is important to say to the public since we have them on here. This is costly and expensive, and should be really looked at, I think the number, because we also can't charge that to the people doing the open records request. We're not charging them $255 an hour, or the hours that our town clerk spends hours now doing this type of work. This is lost money.
So some public records requests do allow for a charge, depending on the depth of the request, and that does happen on occasion.
It's 20, so mass law is $25 at maximum you can charge someone an hour. That's
correct.
what was sent. So $25 versus $255 an hour is a $255 an hour.
This year, but this year.
This year. Next year will be $375 or whatever the amount will be. No, it's only $255 next year. It's a $10 increase, right?
It starts July 1st, yeah.
July 1st.
But it looks like every January they send us this, so every January we can
Not
insert
public
it just
comment.
for you guys'
I
knowledge.
just wanted to add, though, that the planning board does have a line item in the application, so if it is an application, they pay the legal fees.
I'm not questioning you, but I'm saying general public, so folks know
Yes.
these people do not work
Oh,
for
but
the
I want the
town.
general public to know.
And the
that
town people that
applicants
work
pay
here,
the
we
fee.
have minimal people. We have one person in the town clerk's office right now doing actual work and actually trying to do all the open meeting law requests.
I will add
go for it.
I
and that's
didn't
it.
know that there was bond council work. I think that's terrific. We should use that more. Well, the twice I've ever used it. I should have
Listen.
used it more.
Okay, maybe, but let's talk about expenses. All right, is there any other items on that topic you'd like to bring forward?
Nope.
All right, moving on to the next item on the agenda, which is a business license transfer for JAG Incorporated DBA Table 12 to, is it Briars?
Burns.
Burns? We did this one.
So, you can remember, we did their liquor license
Okay,
recently,
yeah.
so their transfer is official. They are under new ownership there, Table 12.
Okay,
And so the next step, so they did get their liquor license, which was
Yep.
transferred, so the next step is just making sure all their licenses are transferred. So they have an entertainment license and a common victualer's license that I'm requesting that you approve and sign tonight.
okay. So do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes,
We should shred these,
great.
just so
Yes.
the piece of paper.
Yep.
They have the guy's social security number on them?
No, that's his EIN number, business license number.
So next item is to review town meeting, so review articles and approve the town meeting warrant. So what you have in front of you was provided, these, much like last year, are the warrant article placeholders. Just like last year, we still have some input. We have the submitted articles in the beginning were proposed articles, one of them like floodplain, revolving fund, and then our standard articles, which are at every town meeting. There are some articles here that we're still getting some final bits from, I'm gonna pick on, I feel bad for it, but I'm gonna pick on capital investment, right? They're gonna give us their final. So this is just a vote to acknowledge these are our articles, that we're gonna put in as placeholders. And at our next meeting, we'll have what you guys normally see. We do the summary. There's that little bit of wording on the bottom, and then, instead of going one-on-one, we'll just go through and put who's gonna read each article at that point.
That might be the following meeting, but
The
yeah, that is
following-
one of the steps, yeah.
So one of the steps.
So, can I?
Yeah?
So, I think from now to the next meeting, one of the warrant article is there, and I do like I don't know who is going to take action on that. So maybe action on that, and may not be nice if it goes to the town meeting.
I think the one that you're talking about is 14,
Yeah,
right?
it's,
I think we're gonna talk about that today, right?
Oh, I'm gonna touch upon it.
I think we're gonna
So
do
we
that
need to
one.
resolve it before it gets to the warrant.
No, it's already,
We're working
Oh,
on that. I'm gonna
before-
get there.
We can pass it over, right? If,
You can pass over it.
No,
yeah.
even
But-
then, even if it
it-
comes to yes, it is a citizen's petition, I always vote for the citizen's petition. But if this gets to the town meeting, it is embarrassment for the select board.
I don't disagree. I think you're gonna talk about it in yours.
who put all,
But I do agree. Go ahead.
who put all the dog control ones on?
The town clerk.
Okay.
So it's, some of them are, for her, she wants to be able to
Seniors,
waive the fee for the seniors for their dogs. She wants to enforce the kennel licenses. I
was
don't think
gonna
we've
ask about that.
accepted that Mass General Law, which is maybe why Jen,
Talked about it.
doesn't get any calls for that or any
Yeah.
issues. The other thing was to change the due date of the licenses from June to March. I think every other community has them in March. If you
Okay.
drive through communities, they have signs, you
When's
see.
hunting season? I think they should all line up.
Do you use the
Oh,
dogs for hunting?
And then, so she submitted all those.
Okay.
Yep.
I was wondering where they came from. Okay.
Yep. Any other questions on those submitted ones at the top? So the bottom articles are just our standard articles that you see at every annual June or May town meeting, May.
Just one other highlight. So Article 12 and 13 are the
So-
CPC articles.
Those are not gonna be the numbers, just so you know, going forward. It's just my list.
All right, well,
Uh-huh,
so
that's okay.
under, for you guys, in no order, the submitted ones, I was asked, and just because we have folks on, I was asked about, well, CPC already approved these projects, the ones that were presented to us, what do you mean? that still has to go to town meeting and has to be approved at town meeting, and if it is not approved, it doesn't matter that they said, I'm setting money aside, that money does not go.
That's one point about the CPC is their decision isn't about the projects, it's about bringing the project to a vote at town meeting.
Right, it's
So-
about appropriating the funds, but at the end of the day, it is the taxpayers' money that's being held.
And they're
that
given the
they
decision.
They get to vote
Yeah.
on a decision. Okay, outside of that, I would take a motion to approve, the placeholder.
Accept them. Could you just accept those?
Accept the placeholders that have been presented to us or listed in our packet.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No, it's passed. All right. Hold on. I love all my stuff. Hold on. What's next, Faye?
Appointments and resignations?
Okay. So, we have the town administrator appointment of James, Salmon and Walter, Randuct as alternate building inspectors for a rate of $40 per hour. Before there's a motion, there was a question on this. This is not just extra people to the building department. This is just extra people if there's a call that we have an actual person available. for
Yeah,
calls.
so right now we have a building commissioner, we regionalize, so we have a building commissioner and we have a building inspector. So these would be backups for the inspector.
Okay.
So in the event of, maybe the inspector isn't able to get here, or there's a, vacation or what have you, they're just added. We have, already one, but the building commissioner requested we added a couple more.
Okay, so they're not sending 5 guys out and all booking 40 hours each, great.
Are the alternates also commissioners? Like they have licenses and everything?
They're inspectors.
Okay, so there's still only one commissioner.
Yes, these will be building inspectors. I don't know if any of them are commissioned. I
Okay.
don't know that answer, but the request was for inspectors.
For just building inspectors, not replacing.
Correct.
Or substitute commissioners. Okay.
Yep.
Do I have a motion?
Do we,
Moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. Acknowledgement of the resignation of Pat Berry from Town Common and Bandstand Use Advisory Committee effective April 1st. We do not have to vote on that, but I'd like to thank her. She's done a wonderful job, and she will be sadly missed. I hope she's doing something.
I think
Fun.
many years she's been on this committee. I don't know how many, but I know that it's been quite a bit.
It's been a bit, there is discussion on this topic of maybe a potential merger or still keeping that going, because I know that's a concern, is that will stop.
Yeah, so I know, the celebrations committee is currently discussing taking on these duties, so if that happens, which I think at our next meeting, if they accept that, then we will, accept the change of the charge of the celebrations committee, which would include this bandstand, and then we would disband the bandstand committee.
Is there any member in the bandstand committee now?
I don't believe so, no.
Yeah.
Just Pat, the lone ranger out there, just managing it all herself.
Yeah, she did a wonderful job.
She
I
did.
do like to thank her.
Yes.
For the fantastic.
is she the one that has all the contacts for who comes in?
Yes.
So what are we gonna do?
She's still available.
Okay.
She's in town.
She's in town, yeah, she's active, but I know she'll.
Okay.
So, also acknowledge the resignation of Jason Brockway from Finance Committee effective March 18th, 2025. I don't know him, so I don't have anything great to say about him, but he probably seemed great and did a
We
great job.
thank him for his
Thank
service
him
on
for
that
his service.
committee.
I have
I-
a question about that.
Yep, go ahead.
So how many openings are there on Finance Committee? As I looked today and I saw that there were 3 openings, is that correct?
That probably is correct.
Wow, so there's 3 openings for Finance Committee, that it's a really important board for people to be
Yep.
on.
Maybe I don't know who's on that board now that I'm trying to think about it.
Chris
So
Berglund.
Ray, Chris,
Chris Berglund,
and Ray.
Yeah.
Lena,
Ray Beckard.
Hey, Cleena.
Mary,
Who's the other guy?
Is it how many
Who's
board
their clerk?
members? It's 8, it's something
Probably
weird.
7.
7 or,
Yeah,
okay.
I bet
All right,
7.
well, maybe we advertise that.
Sure, so one thing I just wanna explain to you guys, so a lot of times when you look on the, website and you see that there's vacancies, we may have appointed somebody, but if they don't get sworn in, the town clerk does not put them on the website. Because if they haven't sworn in, they're not actually a participant of that committee until they're sworn in.
Okay. good
So
to know.
that, a lot of times, sometimes there's vacancies and you think there's a vacancy, it may not be. So a call to the town clerk, because she keeps a running list, you know, who needs to get sworn in. And we have a software, her and I share a database, so that's one thing just to
Wonderful.
keep in mind.
Go ahead.
To that point, we do have accurate records of who's been sworn in
Yes.
to town committees.
Yep, so the town clerk and I share a database software that we bought a few years back. So when we here in this room, appoint somebody, I add it to the database. She sees that. I also send out an email thanking the person for stepping up, what they need to do, who they need to see. She's CC'd on that, so she keeps that. That creates a list for her.
And our whole process and our record keeping and how we administer the oaths and the
Yeah, I
the
know.
logs associated
Sure.
with that.
That's
So I know there's
That's
been
all above
conversation about
board
the
and-
oaths. So as you all have been sworn in, when you go to the town clerk's office, she reads you your oath, you take your oath, she signs a paper that, it's a running list of people instead of individual sheets of paper.
Because we're appointed at any time. I think one time I was appointed on like 6. So as a select board member, you're also
Oh, the liaison
You're a
situation,
liaison to 6 different boards, so I swore in
Yeah, a bunch at a time.
a bunch at a time and signed my name for like the list of ones I was swearing in.
So the question is, it's not the wordings we say in the, when we go take the oath of office. So the wordings are very, very small version, whereas some argue or some believe
Some
that
might
is
say.
not the one, they wanted the longer version. But I did check with the town clerk, she did check with the attorney general office or
At
whoever
$245.
in charge. So whatever we are doing is legal.
So,
But we don't
so
actually say anything. She says it and you just say, I do.
I'll just say this is because we receive a lot of
You say your
complaints.
name, you say your
Is
name,
that-
and you say, I do.
So,
Yeah,
so
but we don't
if
say
we
the
were to
whole-
get a Freedom of Information Act request, that's the answer, right? So,
Yep. And there's been some public records requests of the swearing-ins and the
I think
sheets.
there's
gonna
been
say.
multiple, right? I think I've seen personally in 4 years.
So in that
like
same,
6.
yeah, and in that same database that we share, she
Yeah.
can put what the date you took your oath of office, so it's all in there. So at any time, I can look and see where we're at.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for the education on that
No
topic.
So
hope
back
the
to the
town-
finance committee, I do see the town website, there are 3 vacancies. So the Jason Brockway name was not there, so already removed, I guess.
Yep, because, the town clerk received the same notification that he had
So
resigned.
we have 3 openings, so if someone wants to sign up for the finance committee, please do so.
So is that something that maybe we as like, a town can advertise, or is it something that individually we should try to
We
advertise?
can put it on the town
I think we
website.
should do all of it.
Okay.
We do it normally. I was gonna say I advertise now random things, but I think we should all advertise it.
Should we put that on the town meeting mailer?
I wanna be careful on who we get on boards, just saying. And, you could put something on the Facebook one, gets some traction
Yeah.
sometimes.
Sure, when I find a minute, I would be
You don't
happy to
have a
create
minute?
a list and put it on Facebook, put it on the website. That's something we
Feel
could
free to
actually
have
share at town meeting, just sitting
Yeah,
on the
that'd be
screen
great.
while people are coming in.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can get there.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Moving on, you have 2 other appointments for the RFP for fire and DPW. I'm not even gonna try with Dean's name. I'm gonna separate them. So we're gonna start with Dean. Tell us a little bit about Dean as you're
So,
appointing him.
Sure. So, we received just 2 applicants to be on this committee to this point, right now. I know we just created it at the last meeting. So Dean Kochanowski, he is a fire chief in another community, resides here in West Boylston. So with this being the DPW fire, projects kind of oversight, I thought he sat on FISP before.
He
I
wrote
thought
it,
he would be a
actually.
great, asset to here. So I did reach out to him, asked him if he would be interested in joining this committee. He said yes.
And this committee is just to review
They will only review the RFP.
that was already submitted to us.
Not yet.
Or our,
I'm gonna update you on that, but yes. So they will
Okay.
review the RFP for the specifics that are required. of the
okay, they're
procurement.
not just saying, I'm gonna put that chair in that building, nothing like that.
No.
Okay.
Just checking that we received everything we requested in our bid.
Wonderful. So on Dean, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
second.
Any further discussion? Here- Yeah?
I think I might have to abstain from this one, those vote, just because I think my daughter's company is submitting a bid.
Better to be safe than
Yeah.
sorry.
Mark, you're not voting on the projects?
No, it's upon the people on
but
the
they're
selection committee.
They're just reviewing.
You can-
They're not looking at the bids for any reason except to say, yep, they put their name, yes, they put their bond, yes, they put this, yes, they put this.
I
in their
would
bid.
say, to be safe, just.
If you
abstain.
don't
So,
feel
I mean-
comfortable,
Sure.
that's fine.
Just
with
because I
us,
know
right?
my daughter has asked me about it, and I think they're putting in a bid,
That's
but I
fine,
just don't
that's
wanna
fine,
be.
No problem.
So you're out now, now
Thank
we're
you for
gonna
your
do.
honesty and transparency.
Yes,
No problem.
I would like to request an open something. Yeah,
A
everything.
record,
Vanessa, are you a yes?
Yes.
here's a picture of my daughter.
I'm a yes, yes,
Yes.
and Marcus abstained, and no nos. Okay, now moving on, the next, person on here is David Femia. Tell me a little bit about the appointment
So,
here.
David Femia expressed interest to be on this committee. He sits on other committees, so I know that, you know, if he's interested in a committee, and I didn't have any other people to weigh against. Like, we didn't have an overwhelming amount of people that I had to select anyone.
Any further questions? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
I'm just wondering, you know, since this only was 2 weeks, could we maybe, how many seats are there left?
A couple.
Okay, so maybe we can advertise this as well, just kind of throw it out there and,
Yep, I think I did put it out, but we can put it out again.
okay.
Sure.
Any further, how many, is there 5? Is it
I
5?
think it was 5,
It
yeah.
was 5?
Mhm.
Okay. Any other further discussion items? Hearing none. The only one I'm gonna bring up is, yes, on many other boards. Did note in this meeting, one of those boards and what happened in that session, which, sitting here, because it's at the select board table, I'm concerned that that will be in a future situation that will come before us. So, that's my only item, and so I will now go through just a roll call vote. Is there any reason anyone's abstaining from this one? You're gonna
Same.
abstain?
Yeah,
Okay.
same reason.
So I will start, in a little different direction, because I know I kept starting with you. I'll start with me as a vote. I am a vote of no. Vanessa?
No.
Jay?
Yes.
Raj?
Yes.
Okay, so, actually, this doesn't work.
With that being a tie, if
It's
the
a-
board would like to, maybe table this vote, you know, table that appointment
Okay,
until we re-advertise, that's something you guys could decide.
motion-
Well, it's not a tie, but to put away the appointment, isn't it?
it's a put away,
4 out of
it's a,
5?
yeah,
Oh,
it doesn't
right.
put away, so it's 4 out of 5.
Sorry.
I mean, a normal
So
vote would be a tie.
it wouldn't pass
My
as a
apologies.
2/3.
Sure.
That's okay. All right, next item on the agenda is your town administrator report, which has one of these articles that I think, Raj, you were looking
Yeah, I do like
for.
that, you know.
You like this one, so why don't you
So
go through
the
that?
reason being, you know, the person who made the petition says on Zoom.
Okay. So this is my first jab at a town administrator report, so here we go.
Got it. Go for it.
So,
Oh, she's gonna read it off to you. You
Oh,
don't
okay,
have to.
I don't have something.
I wrapped
I
it
didn't know
up
how you
today.
guys knew
No,
what
you're
was
good.
going on.
No, that was good.
So the bid solicitation for the designer request for qualifications project, fire station, DPW building project feasibility has been advertised. The bids are going to be due this, tomorrow, actually, at noon time. The second thing is the town veteran service officer received notice back in August 2024 that due to annual hours, they will no longer have accreditation to process VA claims. The Massachusetts Chapter 115 claims will still be able to be processed. The veterans have been informed to contact a local national service officer until a resolution can be obtained. I met with the veteran service officer. This came to me the beginning of March from him. I was aware of the situation prior with Jen. I think he had brought it forward, and I think at that time they were trying to work on a resolution. There obviously was no resolution at that time. So, I have asked him to reach out to other communities that are similar size than us, that have small veteran servicing, and see what they've done. Because there's no way that we are unique, and we are the only community that has a veteran service agent under the required hours, which is 19.25. Our gentleman, Jake Webb, currently works 15. So he, this week, met with another veteran service officer. I reached out to some veteran service officers that I have worked with in the past to try to see what those communities do and how we can fix this solution. It is concerning, that he can't help with the VA federal benefits, but it is good knowing that the Chapter 115 benefits, which service people that are in, I don't know what the right word is, but they're in real need of services. Not that any veteran is any less, because they all deserve exactly what they should get. So there is avenues for them. Jake is working with each and every one of them that come in. He's still having the coffee hours, and I think at the coffee hours, he's letting them know the status. I have reached out to the state. I'm kind of going back and forth with the state to find out what we can do. We are working on the budget to try to see if we can fund this to the 19.25 hours for the next fiscal budget, but we have a time right now that we have to figure out a solution until then. So we are working diligently on it. There's just not a real quick answer to that.
So, can I?
Go ahead.
So the thing is, if he is not certified or his accreditation is removed just because of the 4 point some hours, we shouldn't be, worrying about the 4.5 hours of the salary. So I think, it's, I really, really hate to say this. We should put this on the budget. I don't care how the budget is going to be. We should not put this warrant article on the town meeting. That's all I'm saying.
So being a citizen's
we
petition, we don't,
No, we should not, no, with citizens petition, yes, we have to. But this need to be resolved. We have to find a solution, we have to find a way to give that 4, if this is the 4.5 hours is in between these two, we should give the salary to him.
Yep, so as I just explained, in the budget that we're working right now for next year, we are gonna find a way to fund that. But the problem is, it's from right now until July 1st.
So it's just because of
It's budgeting.
So
I agree,
we do-
I agree
We
what you're
do have
saying.
the money in ARPA funds, right? Why don't we supplement that?
In ARPA funds?
Yeah,
That's
So how
over.
many are, the ARPA funds under?
Yes.
But didn't that roll to free
we
cash?
do $150,000.
No, so we could not, we can't use those funds after December 31st. They had to be under contract by December 31st.
Oh, but I thought that the idea was that it went someplace that was gonna become free cash.
It does, but we're talking about right now.
Yeah,
Right now, the budget was set last town meeting at a set amount with his salary.
Yeah,
We
but
have to go
you
to
know,
this
you
town
always,
meeting.
you always go some of the budget overrun. You fix it, budget fix. It's called budget fix. So we should be able to do the budget fix for the next year. So
Okay,
please find out some way.
so this is very
fix this.
new to,
No, this is not new. Jen put it on the back burner.
I'm not Jen.
No, I know.
And this just came, he forwarded it to me, brought his concerns to me.
I
And
totally,
since then,
it's not your, I'm not saying anything on
Sure.
you. This is overlooked. It should have not gone for a citizen's petition. This is very bad on this entire select board. I'm talking about all the select board as well as the town. If you don't, if you say,
I get so Raj is just saying, Faye, we totally know it's not you. We kind of got
It's not
handed
you.
this
I
thing, and now we're all trying to figure out
We're
how to
working
fix it.
diligently to try
Yeah.
to find a resolve for this as quickly as we can. And I'm still waiting for the state, even if I can up the hours to the 19.25, what's the time, I have to find out from the state, how long of a turnaround is it that they take for the accreditation to be obtained?
Because he has to do a certain amount of
Agreed,
hours.
I
to do it.
totally
Yeah, I
agree,
don't
but
know
as soon as you
the
say
process.
19.5 hours, the person who will file for the citizen's petition, he will withdraw it. Or we don't have to
that's
put it
great.
on the,
Yeah.
put it on the town meeting.
Yeah.
That time, I will vote no to put it on the town meeting.
Yep,
I understand.
Please find a way to resolve this.
I'm working on it, Raj.
That's it.
Listen, I think we all feel the same.
Oh,
I
yeah,
even offered to have a
definitely.
fundraiser.
Okay.
All right,
So,
next one. Sorry,
the
you're
next
doing
one,
great with this.
So, as you all know, in West Boylston, we have all the reservoirs. April 1st was opening day of fishing at the Wachusett Reservoir. We're looking forward to the return of the food trucks, so they are returning. I spoke with John Gregor of MWRA, and he stated they're hopeful to have the dam project wrapped up and the access trail that we had requested to be completed and accessible early April. So I'm hoping for an update now that it is kind of early April. Tomorrow morning, I will be holding a department head meeting to discuss the FY26 department budgets, along with the town accountant. A little exciting news here, Woosocks Town Takeover, they contacted us years back when I first started. I remember we had been contacted, and I'm not sure what happened, so I had reached
It
out.
fell off. It's
okay.
embarrassing.
I had reached out to the Woosocks to try to get us back on in the radar with them, so he sent me some dates that we have to select to have town takeover. The town will then need to select some people or groups for the pregame ceremonies. We encourage residents to attend the game, as a portion of the ticket sales will go to a local nonprofit that we select.
Oh.
There'll be more details to follow. So right now, I think at our next meeting,
Chicken
I'm
coop.
gonna throw on there, but I got it just right before we came in here. The dates so far are May 21st, July 29th, August 5th, August 21st,
Whoa, whoa,
and September
whoa, whoa.
3rd.
Do it
It's
again.
okay, she can
Mark.
give it to you after, Mark.
Well, what are
May
the days
21st.
What are the days of the week for each one, really? That's
I
what-
didn't look, because I just got it before we came in
All
here.
right, May
She's gonna
21st.
print this, no, she's gonna make a copy of this
Yeah.
for you.
So we'll pick, they want us to pick up one date with a backup, okay? So that's exciting. And then, just so public's aware, in case they didn't see our Facebook or our website blast, the town tax collector treasurer and the town clerk's office will be closed tomorrow for training, Thursday. That's all I got. I actually have one more thing.
Oh, I don't.
Sorry. When you get to meetings and announcements, just that there's an Easter Sunday brunch at the senior center, Sunday from 11 to 1. That's not on
That's
your
sold
agenda.
out though, right?
Is it? Oh, it is? I didn't see that. Okay,
I think,
sorry.
well, that's what I saw on Facebook, but,
My apologies.
I mean, you can't believe everything you saw on Facebook, so I know it, I saw it on West Boylston Neighbors Connect, so that
Okay.
means
So the
it's true.
announcement should go.
All right, so, I'm gonna go, you guys can all look at the agenda, because now I've checked everything I think I did. So, town meetings and invitations, there is a joint meeting of the Select Board and the Finance Committee, April 10th at 6 PM at the Town Hall. Townwide cleanup day is May 17th. There is a form online to fill out to clean up your street. I'm asking for volunteers to come and help. We're also wonderful, I don't know if you guys have ever had, but Cape Boston and the Mill Tony are donating food again, which is always great. We ran out of food last year. The fire department had a very large team they put together. So please help advertise. The Help See Bens, Faye is actually extremely excited about them being here. They're gonna be at the town hall downstairs, and you can bring in during that week from May 12th to May 17th. They have to be in bags, but any textiles, there's also online postings of what you can bring. It can be blankets, it can be socks, it can't be wet things, suitcases, many different things on that, so you can bring that from May 12th to the 17th. Let's fill those up. Annual town meeting is May 19th, 2025, and unless I hear if I missed anything on this agenda, and that it's besides, right now, we have an executive, we're gonna enter into executive session to pursue GLC 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to potential litigation. We're an open meeting, may have detriment on the effect of the litigation position of the public body, and as chair, I declare with respect to a non-compliance determination issued by the Cannabis Control Commission regarding the host community agreement executed by the town. That is one long sentence, Faye. The board will discuss and deliberate as to litigation strategy, and the board will discuss and deliberate. That's okay, and we'll adjourn in executive session. We'll not be coming back to open session. And as chair, I deem this. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Vanessa?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Jay?
Yes.
Raj? Thank you
Yes.
very much. Have a nice evening.